Hello, my name is Brian Xu, and today I'll be summarizing the journal article Metabolic Flexibility During Exercise in Children with Obesity and MASH Controls by Chu et al. Metabolic flexibility, or METFLEX, reflects the ability to modify or adjust body metabolism to account for the availability of fuel in response to a physiological stimulus. The accumulation of fat-free mass, or FFM, and deterioration of metabolic health may result from impaired METFLEX. It is known that METFLEX is blunted in youth with obesity compared to those who are not obese. However, it is unknown whether METFLEX is impaired during exercise in obese and non-obese youth. Therefore, the study aims to give insight into this area, which has limited information. The purpose of Chu et al. Was to compare METFLEX during exercise in obese children and normal body mass index, or BMI children, or MASH for chronological age, sex, and biological maturation. The study recruited children aged 8 to 17 and divided them into two groups. The first group consisted of overweight or obese children, and the second consisted of normal BMI children, or the control group. Both groups consisted of 26 individuals, and they are matched for chronological age, sex, and biological maturation. The children in the study were required to attend 2 visits comprised of anthropometric assessments, blood work for the obese group only, a maximal aerobic fitness or VO2 max test, and a METFLEX test after ingesting a carbon-enriched carbohydrate beverage, which composed of 1.7 grams of glucose per kilogram of body weight, up to a maximum of 75 grams, before exercising for 60 minutes at 45% VO2 max. Exogenous carbohydrate oxidation efficiency was calculated through breath samples to evaluate METFLEX. Next, I'll be talking about the results. First, the graph on the left, graph A, illustrates carbon-13 breath enrichment, and the graph on the right, graph B, illustrates the exogenous carbohydrate oxidation rate relative to fat-free mass at baseline and for every 10 minutes until 60 minutes. For both graphs, the solid line shows the obese group and the dotted line shows the control group. For graph A, exercise duration in minutes is on the horizontal axis, and carbon-13 breath enrichment per mil is on the vertical axis. Both groups start at around -20 per mil PD per night, or PDP, and as exercise duration progresses, the control group reaches 0 per mil PDP after 20 minutes, where the obese group only reaches 0 per mil PDP at 40 minutes. After 60 minutes of exercise, the control group ended at around 15 per mil PDP, and the obese group ended at around 8 per mil PDP. The results yielded a significant time effect and group by time effect for carbon-13 breath enrichment with a p-value of less than 0.001. For graph B, exercise duration in minutes is on the horizontal axis, and exogenous carbohydrate oxidation rate is on the vertical axis. At baseline, before the onset of exercise, the exogenous carbohydrate oxidation rate was lower in the obese group with a value of 0.295 milligrams per kilogram of fat-free mass per minute, compared with the control group, which had a value of 0.445 milligrams per kilogram of fat-free mass per minute. The control group ended with an exogenous carbohydrate oxidation rate of around 9 milligrams per kilogram of fat-free mass per minute, while the obese group ended with around 7 milligrams per kilogram of fat-free mass per minute. The results yielded a significant difference between group effect, time effect, and group by time effect for exogenous carbohydrate oxidation rate relative to fat-free mass, all with a p-value of less than 0.001. Next, the bar graphs below illustrate exogenous carbohydrate oxidative efficiency and the percent contribution of endogenous and exogenous carbohydrate contribution, as well as the total fat to total energy expenditure during exercise. Graphs A and B further help illustrate the rate of exogenous carbohydrate oxidation efficiency between the control and the obese group. In graph A, the rate of exogenous carbohydrate oxidation efficiency is measured in percent, where the obese group yielded 17.3% plus or minus 4%, where the control group yielded 22.6% plus or minus 4.7%, with a significant value of p less than 0.05. This graph shows that the obese group was significantly lower in exogenous carbohydrate oxidative efficiency. In graph B, the area under the curve, or AUC, was measured, and exogenous carbohydrate oxidation calculated relative to fat-free mass showed lower exogenous carbohydrate oxidation during exercise in the obese group compared with the control group by 133.5 milligrams per kilogram of fat-free mass. In graph C, the percent contribution of exogenous carbohydrate to total energy expenditure during exercise was lower in the obese group compared to the control group. The obese group contributed 15.6%, while the control group contributed 22.4%, while the endogenous carbohydrate and total fat contributions were not significant. Moving on, we conclude that from the data, oxidation of oral carbohydrate was nearly 1.5 times lower in the obese group compared to the control group. Also, carbohydrate oxidation during exercise is affected by excess fat-free mass. And finally, the percent contribution of exogenous carbohydrate to total energy expenditure is lower in the obese group. For future studies, which will be mentioned in the critique, studies can increase the sample size to help generalize for all ages of population, and also include blood samples before and during exercise to help measure insulin resistance. Moving on to the strengths of the study, the main strength of the study is that it matched for factors that influence exercise metabolism, which is chronological age, sex, and biological maturation. There's another study conducted by Ravusin et al. In 1979, which tested similar factors of exercise metabolism and Netflix. However, the study did not account for biological maturation and also had a smaller sample size with a total sample of 12 individuals. Secondly, the study utilizes the carbon-13 stable isotope method. This method provides Netflix data without blood work, which reduces invasive assessments that can potentially harm the individuals, the participants, and alter data. Moving on to the critique, the blood work for the control group and during exercise was absent. Blood work obtained can help outline changes in blood glucose throughout the exercise duration, and also fasted blood work can allow for comparisons of insulin resistance. There is difficulties or problems with collecting blood work, and is that blood work is hard to obtain and may be difficult since the individuals are exercising throughout. Furthermore, it may cause strain to the participants, which could alter the final data. Second, the distribution of the age of the participants was skewed towards older children, with only a few prepubertal children in the study. Therefore, the data cannot be extrapolated to younger children. To allow for this data to be applied for younger children, having a greater sample size and balancing the age of the participants while introducing age group specific generalization, this can narrow the specific age groups and also have a larger variety of children at different ages. Finally, the menstrual phase of the female participants was not matched. It is known that the menstrual cycle phases can influence substrate oxidation. However, this is a challenging aspect to synchronize, and the participants in the study also had irregular periods, making it even more difficult. Being unable to match menstrual cycles will probably be an aspect that cannot be modified and will always be a limitation. Finally, I would like to thank my mentor, Junyoon Kim, and Syracuse University and Falk College, as well as the Department of Exercise Science. Last but not least, thank you IOHSK, and thank you for listening to my presentation. Thank you.